Ask George is brought to you by International Cricket Tours. International Cricket Tours are experts at cricket, but experts of international travel with decades of experience behind them. If you love cricket, if you love touring, use International Cricket Tours.
Hello, Huw Turbervill here, editor of The Cricketer magazine, and I have with me George Dobell, the chief correspondent of The Cricketer, and Mark Machado, who is an expert on Sri Lankan cricket. And we are here for the first day of the second test between England and Sri Lanka at Lord's, and it's Ask George.
Got 30 seconds left,
Right, here we go. Old friend of ours, Occidental Tourist, asks, when can we expect to see white smoke coming from the chimneys at Lord's announcing the selection of a new Pope?
I think they're going to stick with him a bit longer. I like what you did there with the question, but look, I think they really believe in him, and his long-term average at 3 is actually good. It's above 40. I'm worried about him at 3. Not convinced that he is in the right place. I also don't think the messaging from the management over a long period of time has been at all helpful to him and to other players as well. They're going to give him a really concerted go at that position. But, you know, there are very good young players out there, people like Jordan Cox, who are going to be pushing hard. And, Ollie Pope's going to have a few more innings, a few more tests, certainly, perhaps the whole winter, to prove himself.
I think he was a big reason why Sri Lanka chose to have a bowl this morning, because I thought they thought we can get into his head, get into the openers early, get him in early, and then get him out early, which is kind of what happened.
And they did, to be fair, yeah.
And then it kind of just feels slightly chaotic again. And then this is the first question at the end of the day's play, right? Because the place is full of black smoke because no one's sure about him at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the captaincy falling unexpectedly on his lap doesn't seem to have proved
It's not that
helpful.
Unexpected, though, in a way.
Well, I suppose you are always one twisted ankle away, aren't you?
Yeah, if you're named vice-captain and the captain is Ben Stokes, who obviously has some injury issues, and it's amazing he's played as much as he has. It's only his own determination, really. So it's kind of going to happen, and I think they did all these things to try and build him up, to try and show that he was valued and that they have confidence in him, and I think it might have backfired.
Okay.
I don't think he's a number 3. But look, the jury is out. I mean, I was in Hyderabad. He did play a magnificent innings. He is averaging 40 in the position over a long period of time, but in the last year or so, that average has dropped to something like 31.
And he started the test sum with 100 against West Indies at St Paul's.
Against West Indies, yep. So it's not, I think, an argument that you can just statistically nail one way or the other, but I'm worried about how frenetic his starts are.
Can I, before the second question, can I just adjust your shirt slightly? This is a bit too much chest hair being shown there. Right, Jack Rule asks, Root or Sangakkara, who is the better batter?
Go on then.
I'm actually going to go, because obviously this is something I was thinking about during play. I'm actually going to go Root, only because Sangakkara is absolutely brilliant and amazing and incredible. But I think Root was born for this, but Sangha had to learn it. So Sangha ends up being a very different batter to the one that I started with, which is an incredible journey that we all loved going on. But Root was just born to play Test cricket, wasn't he?
Wow. Can't believe the disloyalty.
It's not, no.
I don't think I can answer. It's a bit Sophie's choice, isn't it? I suppose she did answer. But I'm not going to. It's a rubbish film, wouldn't it? She said, no, I want another option.
Sangakkara kept as well, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to move on to the next
one?
one?
So what will you answer?
Root's going to be the greatest of all time, isn't he?
He's not greater than Bradman, is he?
No, I suppose not.
Most
prolific of all time.
How much you have to consider the era of Test cricket that he's playing in? I mean, it's not a particularly great era for bowlers, is it?
And how many marks does Root lose for keep playing these silly shots, reverse sweeps and things?
I don't know, but the fact that you're having the conversation, comparing them, shows they're both absolutely top class.
Both awesome. Yeah. Right, okay, Kunjan asks, shouldn't Joe Root's runs be inflation adjusted compared to tough bowlers and teams in Tendulkar's era? That's what you were getting at, Mark, wasn't it?
Oh. Yeah, I'm sure there's some clever people out there working the statistical model to kind of work that. But then, cricket changes and evolves so much over the years. You can't. Some days, some bowlers wake up and they're just about to have the best day out of their lives, right? You can't. How do you filter that into statistical models?
Because in Sri Lanka, Advas and Murali, and it's easy to score runs against them now, isn't it?
Yeah.
George?
It was the point that Sachin played in a more tricky era. Because he did. He played against some incredibly tough bowling attacks. Yeah. But then he would have played on some flat wickets at times. Again, you don't need to decide. You can thoroughly respect Sachin Tendulkar and Joe Root without demeaning the other one.
Yeah. Well, it's good fun to discuss these things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Andy Morehouse asks, there appeared more empty seats than any recent day one of a test here. Should the ECB be worried, or is this still a good crowd for a late August non-Ashes test? For the record, the crowd was about 27,000, I think.
I think you could have a bit of both, you know. It is a good crowd. It's a good crowd, but there are a few signs of concern. It can be both. And there was a test a couple of years ago, you know, that it didn't sell out on the first day. Can you remember which that was? Maybe it was New Zealand, actually, a couple of years ago. So there's no room for complacency at all. It's terribly expensive, and we've developed a game which is only relevant to a tiny proportion of our communities. So it's going to happen. It's a wake-up call. Of course it is. I think they know. We've got to all do the right things. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
I just think if you don't live in London, by London I mean by a tube stop, it's basically a £250 day at that easiest, doing it kind of quite reasonably moderately. I think, this place is filled.
Do you mean?
Yeah. Well, for the tickets. I mean, by the time you get here, you get a bit of food. It's lovely on the lawn having a bottle of wine. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? And I think by the time you put that all in, get back, you have some food afterwards. It's a very expensive day. It's almost,
you might need a hotel, and the trains are horrendous, as we know. Yeah.
I mean, coming to Lords is obviously incredibly special, but that doesn't mean they need to take it for granted. Why can't they look into dynamic pricing, sell off if they know? Sri Lanka aren't going to pull in the crowd. India or Pakistan or Australia are, so maybe you don't sell the tickets quite as expensive as you did. I spoke to a lot of Sri Lanka fans today when I was out and about, and all of them said, I can only do one day, it's too expensive. So it doesn't have to be 120
I can tell you this,
quid a ticket.
Richard Thompson said at the start of this summer we could sell out against, I think he said Nepal, but it might have been Papua New Guinea. You can't. They cannot.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a reminder that there is a bit of hubris in English cricket, and the fact that the contests haven't been, that brilliant. I think Sri Lanka have done really well so far in the series, but the contests haven't been that good, have they?
More importantly than that, as well, is I think we're getting a whole generation of people coming through who would never be taken to Lords as a kid because it was too expensive. They might have been taken to test outside, going to Cardiff, done a day against Sri Lanka in Durham or something like that. But this isn't going to be a place that they think they can come to because they're not going to have memories.
Do you work for Lords, do you? Or?
No, someone threw a coffee over me, so I had to go and buy a new shirt. By someone, I mean me.
Right. It just feels very late in the summer, doesn't it? And we've had the 100 in August, and football started now. It's been a funny, bitty summer with the Olympics and everything.
But, God, what a fantastic day. Yeah. I mean, it's just
very good. The weather was amazing.
Perfection.
Yeah. I had the most wonderful day setting up a photo, which I won't tell you what it is, but you can see it in the next Cricketer magazine. It's fantastic.
What a tease.
Yes. Right.
I'll tell you what it is. Shall I?
No.
It's really good. It is
because that will give our so-called rivals the opportunity to trump me with the picture. So no.
Oh.
Yeah.
But that is a big clue. Trump is a big clue.
For all the best news and analysis, subscribe to the award-winning Cricketer for just £3.99 a month.
Right. Ron Martin asks, are England doing Dan Lawrence a disservice by asking him to open the batting?
Well, he's struggling with the role, isn't he? There's no doubt about that. He's had 3 goes and he's probably got 3 more. It's all very well, but there was no other way into the side for him. But should they have gone for a specialist opener? I mean, they are making the argument, he is making the argument, his dismissals are making the argument that yes. It's really unfortunate for him that he's got his opportunity. I think I've said in my piece, it's like, being a right back asked to play on the left, isn't it? He's not comfortable at all opening the batting.
Well, I mean, it's difficult for middle order players. I mean, Ramp struggled in 2000, Jonathan Trott struggled in 2015. You got Keaton Jennings making over 800 runs in Division 1 of the Championship with 400s, averaging over 60 until the last game. What do you have to do in the Championship to get a call up? And is it all just about strike rates and stuff? And I looked up his strike rate, it's 57. Is that bad?
No, it's really not. And I wonder if they didn't want him to do well because then it would give them a problem what to do later in this cycle. But look, I actually applaud quite a lot of what they're doing, like not looking at county averages, looking at attributes more instead, to use a Matt Roller line. It's attributes, not averages. But they are revelling in it, yeah? I mean, Josh Hull has a bowling average of 182.5 in the Championship season. there's no way that he'd have been picked in previous generations. It's August. It's not like, you know, it's an incredible thing. And I do think they're revelling in it in a way which is, I don't know, a bit over the top. This is a bit too clever.
Rubbing the championship's face in it.
Well, they obviously don't particularly respect that. And that's okay, because they're right to think that Ollie Hannon-Dalby getting loads of wickets for Warwickshire isn't necessarily going to mean he's the ideal person to take the new ball in Australia. He'd be the first to admit that.
Sam Cook, you know.
Well, Sam Cook, I think, is a bit unlucky. I mean, he gets a 10-for with a Kookaburra ball.
Yeah.
He's probably the same pace that Jimmy Anderson was in the last few years. So I think Sam Cook's unlucky, to be honest.
I think, to be fair, they did say he was a bit unlucky, didn't they?
Yeah, but they have got somebody who's not a number 3 at number 3, somebody who's not an opener as an opener, and quite a long tail. I don't know, they're getting away with it now. Will they get away with it against India and Australia? We'll see. It'll be fun to find out.
Square pegs in round holes, is it?
It is, I think.
Right, finally, Stephen Berkhamsted asks, what is your view on selecting the tallest, biggest fast bowlers? Like last time England selected like that, Chris Tremlett and Boyd Rankin didn't last the whole tour, and England were beaten 5-0 in 2013.
I don't think they didn't last the tour because they were big.
Yeah.
I think they didn't last the tour because they were broken. Because Tremlett was on the tour before when England won the Ashes.
True.
So the problem was that you have to pick on what you actually have rather than what you wish you had. And what England wished they had there was tall, fit, fast bowlers. And what they actually had was tall, unfit fast bowlers. And that's not the same thing at all. And they did the same thing in Australia in 2006-07. They picked the players who they wanted to be fit, but they're all broken. That's not the same thing. So I think there's a lot of sense in it. Listen, England have played 15 tests since the second week of 2011, January 2011, in Australia, and they've lost 13. If they go there again trying to do all the same things, they will lose again. So I think they're right to try different things, and I think Josh Hull is a young bowler with quite a lot of the raw materials. He isn't actually playing, they're just taking a look at him. I think that's probably right, to be honest.
Isn't it a case, though, that all over the world, all fast bowling units are kind of half broken at any given time anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, Larry Kumara bowled for Sri Lanka today. At the start of this day, I did not think he had 20 overs in it.
I was going to ask you about the attack.
Be interested to see how he is in the morning, won't it?
Milan Rathnayake is quite tall, isn't he? But were you impressed overall?
I was much more impressed today with him than I was at Old Trafford, and I think he's clearly improved. Sri Lanka keep putting up their bowling coach at the end of the day to talk to us, and I think that talks to what they're trying to tell us is we're working on it, we're on top of this, we've got something. The real kind of wider shame in it all is our best bowlers aren't here because they play white ball cricket, right? And they're never going to play test cricket. So, you know, that's why when we look
Will
at
a test fund help?
No, it's too far gone, I think, now. Yeah, because they're going to earn so much more in the IPL that, you know, the test fund, what that's going to do, I think, potentially for a team like, or a nation like Sri Lanka, is it's going to maybe encourage them to develop players like Milan Rathnayake who can only play red ball cricket or are only ever going to play red ball cricket for the country, and maybe put more into that, which they do. You know, Sri Lanka actually have quite a sophisticated fast bowling coaching set up, which has brought so many youngsters through recently. So I think that's what it will help. But in terms of getting our best players back to play red ball cricket, I think that's probably a ship that's sailed.
Well, on that downbeat note, we shall say goodnight to you, and we'll be back at Lord's tomorrow for day 2.